Well, good morning, everybody. Isn't this a glorious day for such a glorious occasion? I'm Dean Jim Steinberg. I want to welcome you all, especially our most recent graduates, as well as their families and friends, the Maxwell faculty and staff, and our many alumni and supporters. This is a wonderful occasion. You know, we're about to mark our 90th anniversary here at the Maxwell School, and you're very much part of a great tradition. And it's a great tradition and a great occasion not just for our newly minted graduate degree students who've worked hard to reach this day, but also for their families, who I know share a strong sense of pride and a bit of relief on this occasion. So I'd ask you all to begin by joining in a round of applause for the families of our graduates. Released by the Gallup Company and Purdue University. They found that students who were closely engaged with faculty or who had a mentor who encouraged them to pursue their dreams and goals were more likely to be engaged at work and have high well-being. I know that our students here today at Maxwell recognize the strong commitment our faculty have to working with you and to help you realize your goals. So I'd also like to ask our faculty to stand and to join in a round of appreciation for the Maxwell faculty. Please, faculty. We begin today's program with our student speaker, Nilofer Pasha. Nilofer joined the EMPA program in order to expand her knowledge of policy analysis, public policy, and governance with an emphasis on higher education policy. She wants to continue her work within higher education institutions or at the state or federal level. She was most recently a statistical software consultant for the State University of New York at Binghamton. She's taken extensive graduate-level coursework in journalism and mass communications at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and earned a BS in sociology from there. And I might also add, I had the pleasure of having Nilofer as a student in my seminar with Professor Bill Banks. Nilofer, please come and talk to us.
Good morning. Dean Steinberg, Ms. DeYoung, distinguished deans, faculty, staff, guests, and leaders of tomorrow. It is my great privilege and honor to speak to you today as Maxwell Convocation's student speaker. I know many of you, bumping into many of you in the hallways of Maxwell, taking classes with you, and often suffering with you the turmoil of a busy student life. Meeting everyone for the first time in August of 2013, I have had the distinction to meet many of you that have called Maxwell our home for the past 1 year. I have taken classes with students that are part of the MPA program, those that are part of the executive MPA program, many that are part of the MPA Defense Comptroller program, many that are doing a dual degree from law school, and those that are doing dual degrees with other disciplines outside of Maxwell. But the one thing that is common between us, no matter what concentration or other degree we might be pursuing, we have all been pursuing a degree from Maxwell. We are all part of the Maxwell family, or we are the Maxwellians, or rather, famously known as the Maxwell Mafia. We have all made Maxwell our home for the past 1 or 2 years, or sometimes longer. We know everybody. Everyone knows us. Maxwell is the bridge that connects us. We all traverse it every day. And Maxwell is the bridge in our future that will connect us to the world, make us into tomorrow's leaders. But why is it that we are tomorrow's leaders? What qualifies us to follow that path? What makes us a unique people? How are we different from all the other MPA graduates in the United States graduating about right now? The answer is quick and short. Because we are Maxwellians. Not because we are smart, beautiful, handsome, well-spoken, and well-educated, though we are all that, and it counts tremendously, but because we are all graduating with one of the greatest and most coveted degrees in the world from one of the most respected and revered institutions in the world, Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs at Syracuse University. Because we are Maxwellians, governments pursue us, federal, state, and local. Everybody. NGOs love us. Think tanks cherish us. Nonprofits think the world of us. And in a sense, everyone is gaga over us. We are very special indeed, a breed apart. I have worked with many of you on group projects, and some of you are candidates this weekend for your executive MPA. Many of you came from faraway places like Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Ecuador, Georgia, Ghana, India, Japan, Jordan, Kosovo, Malawi, Nepal, Nigeria, Pakistan, Peru, Republic of Korea, Russia, Turkey, and of course, the United States of America. The list is endless, but Maxwell made us all part of one global network, one large global village. Our academic village on the second floor of the Eggers Hall was not just a place to study and talk and eat and rest between classes, but it was a village of multiple people, multiple languages, multiple ethnicities, multiple religions, and multiple cultures, all working together. Many of you came as Fulbright scholars. Many came as part of their government programs. Many came as scholars, and we all worked and studied together. What impressed and surprised me most was your dedication to the Maxwell program. For some of you, English was not your first language, but you wrote your papers in English and presented your group projects in English. I cannot imagine going to Japan, Turkey, or Russia and writing a paper in the local language. I don't know how you did it. You are a brave people, and you strive for the very best, and now you got the very best. That is an MPA from the Maxwell School. Those that are here for the Defense Comptroller program for a dual degree of MBA and EMPA, all in 16 months, my hat is off to you. We have worked on many projects together. I learned from you. Every time the going got tough for me, I thought of you and took inspiration from your dedication. You were funny, always smiling, cracked the best jokes and the best work ethics, and were the best of the best. The MPA, MIR students, most of you domestic students, some from other countries, I learned so much from you as well. I took many classes with you, many of you, and worked on group projects together. I learned from you not to forget how to have fun while studying. I learned from you how you are all part of a Maxwellian cohort, all belonging to the same group. Your spirit, your dedication, your networking, your pursuit of your goals, they were all an inspiration to me. You were all happy people on a trajectory to become tomorrow's leaders. While at Maxwell, I took all the best and the most challenging courses and drooled over the ones I couldn't take because there was a limit on how many I could. I didn't know last year in fall that I would finally come close to mastering my short Maxwellian papers that our faculty so loves to assign us and ask us to analyze the world's problems in 1, 2, or if we are lucky, in 4 short pages. When I started, they were all Greek to me. because I had the tradition of writing 20-page papers, as some of my faculty know. Maxwell, you taught me how. Maxwell, this was the best education money could buy. I would like to recite to you an excerpt of the Athenian Citizens' Oath that was written more than 2,000 years ago, but is also the Maxwell motto. We will revere and obey the city's laws. We will transmit this city not only, not less, but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. Those of us who were privileged to be in Professor Tina Nabachi's collaborative and participatory governance class know that this is what we learned, this is what we participated in, and this is what we operationalized in her class, the motto of Maxwell School. Therefore, congratulations to all the graduates today, MPA, MPA, MAIR, EMIR, all the masters, and all the social sciences masters and the PhDs. And thank you, faculty, for your wonderful teaching. My talk in front of all of you would be meaningless if I did not tell you how great the staff at Maxwell is. If the faculty at Maxwell are the sages from whom we learn, the staff at Maxwell are the rock stars. Without their encouragement, problem solving, resourcefulness, helpful and nurturing ways, we would be lost. And it doesn't matter which office you talk to, they are all there to help you move forward. Of course, the executive MPA staff is the best. They are so wise and always there for you. I don't know what I would have done without Margaret and Tammy and everyone else there, but the PAIA staff, which is always a mouthful, are the tops as well. They're the best. They treated me, an EMPA student, with helpfulness, resourcefulness, and always with an answer to my query. The staff at INSCET and on the various floors of Maxwell, they never forgot my name, which is not one of the easiest names to remember, and they always greeted me in the hallways with a smile. You know who you are, and you are the best. You made our time here easy and a breeze. Finally, I would like to thank my family, without whose encouragement, love, and support, I could not have done what I did at Maxwell. I thank them for putting up with a messy house, no good food, pizza after pizza, and tuna sandwiches every night. And I would like to thank my children, my daughter who's here today, and my sons, who are the best children any mom could ask for. I'm so proud of you all. So Maxwell, we thank you, we salute you, and we'll never forget you. Maxwell, you made us into better citizens. Maxwell, we'll do you proud. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nilofer. That was terrific and very inspirational. Now it's my great privilege to introduce our speaker today, Karen DeYoung. Karen is the Associate Editor and Senior National Security Correspondent for the Washington Post. In more than 3 decades at the paper, she has served as Assistant Managing Editor for National News, National Editor, London Bureau Chief, Foreign Editor, and Latin American Bureau Chief. She's won a number of extraordinary awards, including the 2003 Edward Weintel Award for Diplomatic Reporting, Sigma Delta Chi Awards for Investigative Reporting and Foreign Reporting, and a Pulitzer she shared with several Washington Post colleagues for national coverage of the war on terrorism. She's author of a remarkable biography called Soldier of Colin Powell, and a widely respected journalist throughout the United States and around the world. I first met Karen and her wonderful husband, Henry Champ, who was a longtime foreign correspondent and anchor for the Canadian Broadcast Corporation when we were all in London in the mid-1980s. That was during the Thatcher-Reagan era, and in those days, at least in some circles, being an American and the attitude towards Americans was not always that favorable in London. So we often hid behind Henry's Canadian identity when we were out in public. Karen embodies the best traditions in American journalism. a commitment to developing an understanding of complex international challenges by in-depth, responsible reporting, and the ability to convey in clear and compelling terms the significance of these events to a wide-ranging audience. Beyond that, she's a great friend and a great parent. Please join me in welcoming Karen DeYoung.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, graduates, parents, significant others, friends, and congratulations. Dean Steinberg, Dean Wasilenko, thank you for honoring me with this invitation to speak. This is my second trip to Maxwell. I was here a number of years ago to interview your own Bill Smullen for the book I was writing about Colin Powell. It was February. It was, see, you know what I'm about to say. It was gray. It was really cold. So I'm especially happy to be here on this happy occasion on a brilliant spring day and to see the real beauty of this campus. But I will say it's my first commencement speech, unless you count my daughter's middle school. Don't count that. I did some research, as one always does, and there are always several things that come up in these speeches. An unbelievable, to me, number of speakers inform graduates that they didn't graduate themselves, or at least they didn't show up for the ceremony. And that seems to be a kind of point of pride in explaining their particular path to success. What you have every right to know about me is that I did graduate, a Bachelor of Science in Journalism from the University of Florida. If you didn't know, voted by Playboy magazine the country's #1 party school in my year, 1971. But I'll admit I didn't go to the ceremony. People who do go to their own commencements usually say they can't remember much about it. They don't remember much about the speech, and they usually don't even remember who gave it. So that's comforting to me. A lot of you have been through this before as undergraduates, and you might remember the usual themes among the words of wisdom that my generation tries to impart to yours. Failure is educational and character building. It's an important one to remember. Follow your dreams. That makes sense. Be kind. That's always important. Fame and fortune are meaningless when you're on your deathbed, while love and good deeds abide. Who can argue with that? There are no jobs. That one might be improving just a little bit. But I'd like to talk to you about two things that are particular to my own experience as someone in the world of public policy, albeit looking on, and international affairs in Washington and abroad for a long time. It was particularly pertinent when I was your age, when I was just starting out. I wouldn't have put it this way when I was your age, but these are things that have turned out to be important to me, so I hope you'll find some value in them. The first is learning how to avoid cynicism. That, of course, is the sine qua non of any extended stay in Washington and a lot of public policy jobs. And the second thing, which is really sort of the same thing, is how to remain enthusiastic and fulfilled in a job or an area that you've worked in for decades. And in that, I've been really lucky. Cynicism is, of course, the fallback position in Washington. Nothing is new, nothing works, the forces of good rarely prevail. In my job, I've been through 6 presidents, 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats. One administration follows another to the point where, at least in memory, they're pretty indistinguishable. Crisis and tragedy occur with such regularity that you miss them when they're not there. As we like to say in my business, good news is no news. There's a public policy corollary there, and that's that no good can come with dealing with the media. Politicians usually care more about their own reelection and the sound of their own voices than the public good, and they're not to be trusted. Government is inefficient and at least semi-corrupt by definition. Issues get kicked down the road rather than being resolved. I went last week to see a play currently on stage in Washington called Camp David. It's the story of how Jimmy Carter brought together the leaders of Egypt and Israel, Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin, and kept them there for 3 days at Camp David to hammer out an agreement that they hoped would lead to a lasting peace throughout the Middle East. Well, we all know how that turned out. As I sat there listening to the dialogue, I closed my eyes and I heard phrases I've heard dozens of times and written dozens of times in subsequent peace negotiations, up until last week even. So it's easy to be cynical. You're just beginning. You're brimming with passion and enthusiasm. Keeping that alive 10, 20, 30 years from now is just as important to your success as your studies and your training. You've got to like what you do. In fact, to do it well, you've got to love it. And I guess the first thing I'd say about that is don't be in too much of a hurry to actually do it. As you head toward careers in public policy and international affairs, take some time to learn as much as you can about yourself and the world, and most important, about others before you take on the task of trying to improve their lives. I'll confess that when I graduated, the last thing on my mind was employment. I'd had a lot of jobs in college. I was a waitress, a barmaid, a secretary. I worked as a maid and a cook for a couple of well-funded but really lazy graduate students in exchange for rent. I managed the books in the university maintenance division, where part of the job was to throw some food every day at the 10-foot alligator that lived in the pond behind the building so he wouldn't be tempted by small dogs walking on the shore. I was lucky when I finished that I didn't have any college debt. You'll find this unbelievably, but quarterly tuition for in-state students was $125 at the time. And I'd saved up enough money to buy a one-way plane ticket and to travel cheap for an extended period. So I spent the next 3 years in South Asia and the Far East and in Africa, working when I had to, living the way a lot of people live in those places, and learning things that have been invaluable to me in my career and in my life. I learned in Iran that no matter what government they may have, people are very clever and they really like a good joke. That's a useful thing to know when you're trying to understand their nuclear negotiating posture. I spent months in Afghanistan traveling around the country. I not only learned when and how to wear a burqa and when it was okay not to, I saw the deep-seated tribal and ethnic divisions that would make U.S. attempts at nation building so hard, and that I had to understand and write about decades later. In Nigeria at the time, which was just getting rich from newly tapped oil reserves, I saw how the influx of too much money too fast corrupted, and how the seeds of religious and political strife had been sown in countries whose borders had been drawn to suit the needs of colonial powers. I also saw how small things could make a very big difference in the lives of many people. It's kind of a cliche, but a well dug, a school built, a local official educated and trained. I saw how great ideas and plans in a faraway capital are often not only meaningless to people, but are simply inconceivable. I saw how our definition of progress is not always the same as that of others, how patience and passion can be equal virtues, how poverty can kill imagination. So I had the luxury, that some of you don't have, of not having to pay a mortgage, not having to fight rush hour traffic, not having, at that point in my life, to go to parent-teacher conferences. I realized also that it was easier and less stressful in those pre-war on terror days to get around, and it certainly was a lot cheaper. I'm not saying everyone is in a position to simply take off and postpone the business of building a career and a family. But my point is, if you can afford it financially and in terms of time, don't buy things, buy experiences. They last a lot longer. You're all in the business, more or less, of trying to improve the world. But there is value to your career and to your psyche in trying to take the time to improve yourself first. It doesn't have to be in the wilds of Afghanistan. It doesn't have to take 3 years. I admit that that was a little bit too long. It can be 6 months in a public housing project, teaching school in a small Midwest town, finding every good surfing beach in the world, spending a year learning Hindi. Experience can be anything that's new to you, that broadens your understanding, whether it's on the other side of the world or around the corner. When I came back to this country, I was still young, and I was pretty confident of what I had to offer. I had a degree in journalism. I'd traveled the world. It was 1975, a year after Nixon's Watergate resignation. So I thought if I wanted to be in journalism, I ought to go to the Washington Post. I'd never been to Washington. I'd never actually even seen a copy of the Washington Post. I'd never been a reporter. How could they resist? It won't surprise you to learn the Washington Post was not interested in me, and I went back to waitressing. But I persisted, and after many months, they agreed to give me an entry-level job covering a faraway Washington suburb. I was completely insulted. I had climbed the Bamiyan Buddhas and walked through the Biafran jungles. What was I going to learn covering cops in suburban Maryland? You won't be surprised to learn that actually a great deal. I learned how to chase down people who didn't want to talk to me and persuade me that they did. I learned how local government was really hard and how many, if certainly not all, of the people trying to accomplish it were trying to do their best. I learned how compassion and objectivity weren't mutually exclusive, how there were usually more than two sides to every story, but that being objective didn't mean surrendering your own judgment. I learned how to write fast and clean, how to take orders and negotiate with bosses, that being generous with colleagues paid off because they could save your ass. These are all essential skills, not only in my field, but I suspect in many of yours. You never know as much as you think you do, and every experience has to be milked for all it has to offer. If you aren't giving the job you have your very best, then you have no right to complain that it's beneath your talents. Eventually, the Post sent me to Latin America as a foreign correspondent, and I will admit that that was less a testament to my brilliance as it was a reflection of the Latin American Bureau's position at the bottom of the correspondent status ladder at the time. It had been, and it continued to be with my appointment, the only foreign bureau where the Post had ever sent a woman. In their defense, I'll say that things have changed a lot since then. There are men in Latin America now, and at the moment, our two main war correspondents covering Syria are women. But in any case, it was my start, and I found that all the things I had learned hanging out around the world, having random experiences, were invaluable. And all the jobs that I thought were useless had in fact given me skills and perspective that not only made me good at what I was starting to do, but gave me the confidence to do more. So I've been a foreign correspondent in a lot of places. I've covered the White House and intelligence and foreign policy and the military. But the real satisfaction in any of those thousands of stories over the years is the same satisfaction that I figured out I needed to find in writing about county council meetings in Prince George's County, Maryland. Figuring out what's important, how to understand it, and how to explain it. My job is an endless invitation to learn and to get paid for it. It's not necessarily what I set out to do, and it found me as much as I found it, just as your passion will find you if you're open to it. At various times, I've also been a boss, running the Post national and foreign coverage and hiring a lot of people. About hiring, here's what I've learned. Where someone went to school, or even what their grades were, often doesn't make a whole lot of difference in how successful they're going to be in the job you put them in. Some of you may have seen a recent two-part interview with the top official of Google that Tom Friedman published in the New York Times about how to get a job at Google. When this official was asked what they were looking for, he said that good grades certainly did not hurt, and a good school certainly did not hurt, but it wasn't all that they were looking for. It's not IQ, he said. It's learning ability. It's the ability to process on the fly, to pull together disparate pieces of information. It's leadership and the ability to know when and when not to exercise it. It's intellectual humility, knowing that many of the good things that happen to you are the result of serendipity rather than personal genius. It's creativity harnessed to logic. It's grit. You already have the grades, and you probably had to have some grit to get them at a school as good as this one. Now it's time to go out there and learn. One other minor thing that I'll mention as a life lesson: if you're so inclined, find the right person to spend your life with, if you haven't yet. All that stuff about money and fame not buying love and what you realize is truly important as you get older, it is true. If you've already found that person, congratulations. If you haven't, don't rush it, don't get stressed, but it's worth waiting for. So graduates, I'm in awe of what you've already accomplished. You already have way more education than I ever had. Now you get to the fun part, and I'm envious of the experiences that you're going to have. So is there a chance that 10 years from now you'll be living in your parents' basement not knowing which way to turn? Maybe. But if so, get up, go out, and learn Hindi. Will you be living in a big house with a big bank account but an empty emotional life? Go join a club, volunteer, sign up for Match.com. Just do it. Will you be stuck in a job you hate? I guess that's possible. But I prefer to think that you're all going to go out and find joy in your lives and in your work. So don't be cynical. Don't spend so much time striving for the big successes that you don't appreciate the small ones. In fact, redefine success altogether as endless learning. Be passionate, humble, and always be generous to colleagues. And always, always be kind. Thank you.
Hard to beat that advice. Thank you, Karen. That was terrific. We now get to the part of our proceedings where I would like to introduce Senior Associate Dean Mike Waslenko, who will recognize the PhD candidates for 2014. But before I do, I want to also ask you to join me in a round of applause for an extraordinary individual who has done so much for the Maxwell School, which is our Associate Dean Mike Waslenko. Mike, it's yours.
Thank you, Jim, and let me add my welcome and thank you for all that you've accomplished here and will accomplish in the future. It's my privilege now to acknowledge the PhD students, and Jim started off by noting the Gallup poll, which recently noted that a strong bond between mentor and student is very key to success in life and ultimately your feelings about the institution and how you proceed in your work. There is no stronger bond between student and faculty member than that of dissertation advisor and budding scholar. This is many hours of hard work on both parties' parts, generally speaking. Once in a while, a genius comes along and he's an easy advisee, or she is. But learning how to do research, learning the craft of writing for a scholarly audience, learning how to take your scholarly work and boil it down to something that you can influence others with, this is all part of the craft of getting a PhD. And first of all, I want to thank all the faculty who engage in this work, because it's many long hours, many hours of reading and redrafting and rethinking. And I want to thank the students who bear with us for this. This is very hard and very arduous, but in the end, extremely rewarding. I'm going to acknowledge the PhD students in two phases. First, each department, each year, nominates a student for the Outstanding Dissertation Prize. These are the best of the best. And I want to, if you're here and many of you are not, please stand and be recognized. And I will read both the student's name, the advisor's name, and the dissertation title. Anthropology, Jesse Haraster. Advisor, John Burdick. I see John back there. In Search of a Single Voice, The Politics of Form, Use, and Belief in the Kernewek Language. Caleb Gosh. Caleb, please rise. Caleb was my teaching assistant. I can attest to his formidable abilities. Advisor Jeffrey Kubik, 3 essays on robust estimation of key factors underlying the changes to the U.S. income distribution, a really important area. In Geography, Declan Cullen, Advisor Jamie Winders. Jamie's back there too. What to Do About Newfoundland, Colonial Reconstruction, and the Commission of Government, 1933 to 1941. History, William Jackson. Advisor Shubo Basu. Subcontinent Sudhi-Sism, the Biobandi-Berlevi rivalry, and the creation of modern South Asia. Political Science, Deepa Prakash. Advisor Audi Klotz. Carrots, Sticks, and Stones, The Politics of Naming and Counterterrorism. Public Administration and International Affairs, Kerry Ryson. Advisor Leonard Lopo. Assessing the Role and Impact of Public Policy on Child and Family Violence. Social Science, Virginia Cronin. Advisor Janet Wilmoth. Silence is Golden, Older Women's Voices and the Analysis of Meaning Among Survivors of Domestic Violence. And Sociology, Fumalayo Showers. Advisor Linda Carty. Nursing the Nation, Globalization, Gender, Race, State, and the African Immigrant Women in Healthcare Work in the United States of America. Please let me have a round of applause for these outstanding candidates. So now I will read the names of all the doctoral candidates who are here. There is a hooding ceremony tonight for all the doctoral candidates, and finally then for all of you, Sunday, the graduation and commencement. So I think that what we're going to do is have Dean Steinberg come down to the stage here, and he will hand you a pad folio. I will read the names, and Ann Wicks, who's actually deserves most of the credit for putting all of this together. So I know you are. Anyway, I couldn't resist, Jim, sorry. Caleb Gosh, PhD Economics. Lu Tian, PhD Economics. Kul Capri, PhD Economics. Shimeng Liu, PhD Economics. Kate Cottingham, PhD Geography. I'm sorry, Kate, it's Coddington. Thank you. Declan Cullen, PhD Geography. Nicholas Armstrong, PhD Social Science. Virginia Cronin, PhD Social Science. Kenesha Grant, PhD Political Science. That concludes the PhD students. I will read the names of the two master's students. David Ivkovitz, who serves as the marshal of the graduating students in Maxwell. David? And Nilofer Pasha, whom you've already met, but she has an executive master's degree in political public administration.
We'll continue on with the master's students, so if you'd like to stand up and begin to process to the side. Brandon Riffle. Sha Lee. Chang Liu. Jin Shik Kim. Maria Echagüe Casanova. Jason Constantoros. Ying Ying Hao. Xiao Kang Dong. Leland Clark. Alexander Redman. Hannah Stewart. Evan Barron. Yannick Smith. Xiao Han. Nicholas Anzinger. Gunho Ryu. Yanok O. Elizabeth Irwin. Julia Schulteis. Krista Tuthill. Sean Nichols. Carmel Rabin. Shota Suzuki. Don Canterna. Andrea Duraco. Maria Gomez Torres. Kate Sima. Kristen Massey. Julian Flores. Mary Cappuccini. Miebi Ifi. Hilda Muhu. Philip Bristol. Tuba Dokor. Hadil Al-Haddade. Jeffrey Daniels. Mark Nicholas.
Mohammed Eamon Yildiz. Zunara Latif Bati. Givi Chanuka Vadse. Ryan Buford. Ghulam Rasul Farawar. Ilyasu Adam. Danik Massengil. Carrie Burke. Elizabeth Greenwood. Mary Dahorskoy. Annie Musosa. Rodrigo Villaron. Avni Bidishi. Shaheen Ismailov. Ezekiel Duramani Lako. Ana Marcela Paredes. Tahani Akram Alzubi. Virginia Castor Early. Amy Goodall Ayers. Suchi Joe. Chey-An Liu. Yumi Lee. Nyasha Bolden. Yutako Endo. Satoshi Nakamura. DeYoung Nam. Wahid Masood. Viva Mishra. Andres Lazo. Ritika Bhatia. Raj Shekhar Yelpu. Bharat Kara. Malind Shivram Torawane. Rajnakant Halane. Joshua Keefe. Dennis Nave. Christopher Elliott. Bethany Everly. Joshua Everly. Ian. Shichuen Chow. Jia Li Sun. Xinqi Men.
Okay, while I'm finding my place, let's have a round of applause for all of our graduates. What a great group. Now we come to a very special occasion for all of us at Maxwell. A former Maxwell Junior faculty member from 1959 to 1961, a name which is very well known around here, the former U.S. Senator and statesman Daniel Patrick Moynihan, in 1986 endowed the Daniel Patrick Moynihan Award to be presented annually to an outstanding untenured faculty member who excels in teaching, research, and service. This award is the most valued recognition earned by a junior Maxwell faculty member. And I'm delighted to announce today that the recipient in 2014 of the Daniel Patrick Moynihan Award is Matt Huber, an assistant professor of geography. Matt completed his PhD in geography at Clark University in 2009 and joined the Maxwell faculty in 2010. Very fitting to Maxwell and drawing on his interdisciplinary background in geography, sociology, and economics, his research focuses on the relationship between oil and the American politics, the political economy of mineral extraction, and the industrial ecologies of agricultural fertilizers. Last year, he published Lifeblood, Oil, Freedom, and the Forces of Capital, published by the University of Minnesota, which received the 2014 James Blount Award from the Association of American Geographers Cultural and Political Ecology Specialty Group. Matt has published in numerous journals, including the Annals of the Association of American Geographers, Economic Geography, and Political Geography, as well as in interdisciplinary venues like the Journal of American Studies. He's an editorial board member of Capitalism, Nature, Socialism, and recently completed a term as chair of the AAG's Energy and Environment Specialty Group. And beyond his research into the politics of energy production and consumption, Matt has played an invaluable role here at Maxwell. He teaches undergraduate courses in topics from global political economy to energy, history, and society, and graduate seminars, including a seminar on the political economy of nature. He's a faculty affiliate in international relations and has worked closely with campus initiatives related to university governance and equity. He currently leads the Labor Studies Working Group and contributed to the development of the interdisciplinary major, Energy and its Impacts. So I ask you all to join me in congratulating our very distinguished Professor Matt Huber.
All right. I'm mindful of the beautiful weather, so I'll keep this brief. Thanks, Jim, for that statement, and I want to thank the committee and the Maxwell School for recognizing me. One of the most rewarding things we do in this line of work, is when we hear from our students who tell us they've been inspired by the teaching and that we do and the ways in which they think about the world are transformed. When we research and we write articles and books, they go off into our kind of scattered other specialists in our little corner of our disciplines, and they recognize our work and they appreciate it. But this kind of award is really something different because it's appreciation and recognition from my peers and colleagues at the very institution where I work here at Maxwell and at Syracuse University. So it's really an incredible and amazing honor to be recognized by my peers and colleagues. And as I reflected on this, again, amazing award, I thought about it. It is a kind of spectacular honor, and it really made me think about how so much of us in Maxwell and Syracuse, much of the faculty, really perhaps could do a better job in sort of recognizing all the work we do on an everyday basis, and really, telling people that we read that article and it really made us think about things differently. So these types of awards are really incredible, but I would love to see more recognition on an everyday basis. And just once again, thanks, an incredible honor. Thank you very much.
Well, I can just say amen to that, and as I say, I think there's nothing more important than the real extraordinary dedication that our faculty gives every day, and I think we all know that that's part of what makes Maxwell such a special place. I also, in that vein, want to congratulate several other members of the faculty who were also recognized for outstanding achievements this year. It's just a partial list. If I were to stay and mention every award and every honor that our faculty had gotten, we'd be here and miss this beautiful day. But I do want to call out a few names in this occasion, and perhaps one of the ones that I think we're most proud of, and along the lines that Matt was talking about, are connected with the Meredith Awards. The Laura J. and L. Douglas Meredith professorships were created in 1995 to recognize and reward outstanding teaching in the university. Then in 2001, the Teaching Recognition Awards program was established through an expansion of the Meredith Professorship Program, which was an idea proposed by the Meredith professors themselves, that the Teaching Recognition Program recognize excellence in teaching by tenure-track faculty as well as adjuncts and part-time instructors. Recipients are selected for teaching innovation, effectiveness in communicating with students, and the lasting values of their courses. And this year we had two honorees from Maxwell, Azra Hermadich, who's an assistant professor of anthropology, and Gladys McCormick, assistant professor of history. So a round of applause for them. The William Wasserstrom Prize for Teaching of Graduate Students is named for a very distinguished English professor at Syracuse University who passed away in 1985. Since then, it's been awarded every year to an arts and sciences professor who embodies Wasserstrom's aesthetic as a graduate seminar leader, research and dissertation director, advisor, and role model. And I'm delighted to say that this year's recipient is Doug Armstrong, the Maxwell Professor of Teaching Excellence and a Laura and L. Douglas Meredith Professor for Teaching Excellence in our anthropology department. So congratulations to Doug. Finally, I want to mention Audie Klotz, a professor of political science, who's the 2014 co-recipient of the J. Ann Tickner Award of the International Studies Association. It's a career award that recognizes someone who, in Tickner's footsteps, consistently combines bravery in pursuing high-quality, pioneering scholarship that pushes the boundaries of the discipline with a deep commitment to service, especially teaching and mentoring. So congratulations to Audie as well. The Department of Public Administration and International Affairs each spring recognizes those students within the IR program whose achievements, actions, or spirit have advanced the mission of study of international relations at Maxwell School. And I'm delighted to say that this year the winner of the Academic Achievement Award is David Ifkovitz, Master of International Relations and Economics. David, please. Who is recognized for his meritorious academic achievement at Maxwell. He's studying here on a Fulbright Fellowship from Austria and has achieved the highest academic performance among his peers, earning a stunning 4.0 GPA over 58 credits he has pursued in 2 programs of study. In addition to these exceptional academic achievements, he's been actively involved in our student community. He studied at our Washington, D.C. program, where he interned with Innovations for Poverty Action, an organization that designs and evaluates solutions to global poverty programs. David is going on to pursue further study in political science and will be attending Harvard this fall. And he, as you know, has been nominated to serve as our student marshal representing Maxwell in the commencement exercises on Sunday. So congratulations again. Although most of our ceremony today is focused on awarding degrees and honors to our graduate students, all of us here are deeply committed and proud of the undergraduates at Syracuse who call Maxwell their home. So we wanted to take a minute to pay tribute to all of them who are earning their bachelor degrees this weekend, and to mention a few who've performed exceptionally during their time here. I want to begin by noting that each year the university names 12 seniors as university scholars, the highest undergraduate honor the university bestows. And these 12 will represent the entire graduating class this Sunday at commencement and are selected by a university-wide faculty committee, including merit in coursework and academic achievement, creative work, and a personal statement, as well as faculty recommendations. And I'm pleased to say that 4 of the 12 this year are Maxwellians. Timothy Chang will graduate with a BS in Public Relations, Policy Studies, Accounting, and Finance. Brittany Legacy graduated in December with a bachelor's degree in American History, Political Science, and International Relations. Molly Lindhorst will graduate with degrees in International Relations and Political Science. And Ellen Moore is a double major in International Relations and Policy Studies. For 2015, the senior class marshals chosen to carry the 2015 banner to open the commencement exercises next year are Ashley Newman and Ronald Taylor. Both are dual majors studying political science and policy studies at Maxwell. And finally, the Remembrance Scholars, which were founded as a tribute and a means of remembering the 35 students killed in the bombing of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, are chosen in their junior year through a rigorous competitive process. They write 3 essays as a part of a comprehensive application, are interviewed by a university-wide selection committee, and awarded $5,000 scholarships based on academic achievement, citizenship, and service to this community. And this year's this coming class includes the following Remembrance Scholars: Colin Brown in Political Science, Aaron Carhart, Policy Studies, Billy Seskovich in Political Science, Darcy Cherlin, Anthropology, Alexander Curtis, Political Science, Ariella Davis, Policy Studies, Marwa Altagori, Political Science, William Fletcher, Policy Studies, Molly Lindhorst, International Relations and Political Science, Ellen Moore, International Relations and Policy Studies, and Emily Papilia in Policy Studies. So let's have a round of applause for all of these very distinguished undergraduate Maxwellians. And finally, very fitting to the diversity that I talked about here and our commitment to an international dimension, I'm delighted to say that Maxwell's 2014 Model UN team was named the outstanding delegation at the National Model United Nations Conference held in April. It's the highest level of recognition of preparation, quality of position papers, as well as other overall delegation awards based on the work in the conference. So I want to congratulate them and their faculty advisor, Francine D'Amico, who puts a tremendous effort into this for this great honor. So we're almost done, and even though I've been slightly upstaged by Mike, I want to end by thanking those without whom this truly would not happen, which is the extraordinary staff of the Maxwell School. And all of you know this as well or better than I, that though too rarely praised and congratulated for the work which we all know that they do, we understand that they beat with the heart and soul of Maxwell. And to Anne and everybody else involved in helping put on this event and doing the work that you do 365 days a year on behalf of Maxwell, let's have a round of applause for the Maxwell staff. And like all great pieces of art or pieces of music, we have a grand finale, which is the great tradition of Maxwell at all of our convocation ceremonies. So I would like all the students here to stand, and I'll ask you to join me in reading the Athenian Oath, which symbolizes the values and the principles that we all care for so deeply. Give everybody a moment to get their crib sheets. All right. We will ever strive for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will unceasingly seek to quicken the sense of public duty. We will revere and obey the city's laws. We will transmit the city not only less, but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. Congratulations to all our graduates, and please join us all at the reception back at Maxwell. Well done.